In this unit, we'll be talking about Native Americans of the Great Plains states. There's many tribes in this area with a similar culture. The tribes we'll focus on are the Sioux and Cheyenne, and we'll also mention the Arapaho, Crow, and Kiowa. And if you look at the map on the left, you can see that from Canada all the way down to Texas, from Minnesota and Arkansas west to Wyoming, Colorado, and New Mexico is the area that we're talking about. And if you look towards the northern plains in Minnesota, North and South Dakota, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, that's the region we'll be talking about the most. The Dakota and Lakota Sioux lived in North and South Dakota. Here's North Dakota and South Dakota. The hills in this picture are called the Black Hills because of the color of the rock, and the Sioux, Cheyenne, and other Plains tribes believed that they were a sacred place. The Cheyenne lived in Colorado, Montana, and Oklahoma. Most Plains tribes were nomadic. That means they traveled around specific tribal areas following different food sources depending on what was in season. And before the Spanish brought the horse to this continent, they were farmers, and the horse spread out through Mexico into the southwest and then north into the plains. They lived in small to large communities, mostly in teepees. And the community shared all the tribal land together. There was no individual private ownership of the tribal land. Here are some examples of food sources, so different kinds of large and small animals and birds, different kinds of fish, preserved food like jerky or pemmican, all different kinds of corn, beans, squash, berries, nuts, and something that one tribe in particular was famous for, the Arikara, who lived near Minnesota, were famous for their sunflowers. And these beautiful giant sunflowers, even today, are called Arikara sunflowers. And different clothing types, made mostly out of deer and elk hide, with different kinds of decoration, from shells from the West Coast or shells from the Gulf of Mexico, all different kinds of porcupine quills, different kinds of feathers, furs, and painted skins, and then trading for glass beads from the settlers, which could also be embroidered on their clothes. The culture of Native Americans and the Plains tribes were very different from the pioneers and explorers in many ways that we'll continue to discuss and learn about. In fact, Native Americans were as strange to the early settlers as aliens would be to us.